Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today's Tuesday, March 24, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We'll be talking to John Boyd, he's the National Black Farmers Association. They are seeing skyrocketing fertilizer prices. Also, Donald Trump, again, attacking DEI. They're ending a program that was helping farmers acquire land. We'll tell you about the loss of that program. Donald Trump keeps whining and complaining about mail-in voting, but that idiot actually voted by mail this week. I told y'all the man is stupid. Speaking of stupid, he criticized President Barack Obama for cutting a deal to return several $1 billion of Iran's money to them. And so now he starts a war with Iran. He starts a war with Iran, and because gas prices go up, he now removes the stoppage of Iran gas, and they're going to make $14 billion. Explain to me again, why in the hell are we in the middle of a war? This, y'all, is stupid. Senate Republicans will try to pass the SAVE Act. We'll see what happens there. Also, Gary Chambers will join us. He's been calling out Louisiana lawmakers for the votes that they have been taking there as well. Plus, in our Shop Black Star Network segment, with a thought-provoking card game that fosters empathy. It's time to bring the fun. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, Donald Trump calls for a 5-day hold on bombing Iran, but what he's also doing is calling up 3,000 more troops. Some believe he may be prepping this time for a ground assault in Iran. This war against Iran has been going on for 25 days. He says that he could declare it over when he wants to, but Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today said, no, only Israel can call for the end of the war. Today, he talked about the war and the, quote, big present Iran received today.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out, and now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it, and the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal.
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. Why do you say, what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Well, then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. And it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. The present, the gift they made to us was very significant. And they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the Strait, yeah, it was.
Are you negotiating on who's going to control the Strait from now on?
No, we'll have control of anything we want.
They gave a great... Okay. So when President Obama was there, they were negotiating with Iran over a package regarding their nuclear program. As part of the negotiations, the United States chose to release $1.7 billion in Iranian money that was being held by the United States. Goodwill gesture. Donald Trump and the Republicans lost their minds, trashing that decision. So what happens? Well, Trump attacks Trump attacks Iran because of Israel, and the oil prices blow up. Gas goes up. Oil, $100 a barrel or more. So what does he do? He then eases the sanctions on Russian oil, so more oil is on the market. But Russia is helping Iran in the war. It gets better. So because of oil skyrocketing, Trump decides to ease the sanctions against Iranian oil. How much is Iran going to benefit from that? $14 billion. So why in the hell are we at war anyway? This is how stupid this man is. This is how dumb his administration is. They love talking about DEI didn't earn it. No, you're idiots for negotiating a deal, for starting a war, and now you are repaying the very people who you criticize. You're giving them 7 times more money you ripped Obama for, and you're giving them the money because of a war that you started. And as a result of the war that you started that caused oil to go up and is hurting the economy, you now give them $14 billion. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. My panel, Randy Bryan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, creator of The Truthing Game, joining us from D.C. You can get her game on shopblackstarnetwork.com. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, Joining us from D.C., Nicole Robinson, political law attorney and strategist, also from D.C. I'm Mustafa. I'm absolutely. This goes to show you how dumb MAGA is. I mean, they trashed Obama. How dare you send $1.7 billion back? They're going to use that money to commit terrorism. Trump is allowing them to make $14 billion. Obama $1.7 billion, Trump $14 billion, and actually the $1.7 billion actually wasn't even really going back to them; it still was being held. But it goes to show you how dumb MAGA is, because they think, "Oh my God, he's brilliant. He is playing this perfectly. He's got them at the table." What the United States is offering is literally the same deal Obama offered and got.
Yeah,
that Trump tore up.
And they just repackage it. You know, that's the whole game of this misinformation and disinformation that we often talk about. You know, people put a different bow on a package and try and pretend like they are the first to ever think about it. Of course, as you mentioned, when President Obama did it, you know, everybody was up in arms. But now when Trump does it, it's supposed to be, you know, this great process that is going to bring both an end to wars and help to strengthen economies across the planet. And it's just not true. You know, those numbers that were tied to Russia, I've seen numbers between 50 and $100 billion that was locked up because of the sanctions that were against them. And then, of course, we see the new numbers in relationship to Iran. So all we continue to do is to fund, you know, the regimes that have never been supportive of the United States or a number of other countries. So it doesn't make any sense. It's not even dystopian. This is just plain stupid. It makes no economic sense. It makes no sense for national defense. And it makes no sense for everyday people's pocketbooks, because we understand that everything continues to go up. The price of oil is going up, and gasoline, the price of food, and a number of other things. So for him to move forward on this just shows the inability to actually govern, and the individuals who are around him, as you so aptly stated, who are not ready for prime time.
And Randy, his followers they just think he is the most brilliant. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this headline. Alan Dershowitz claims that Trump would have stopped the Holocaust if he'd been president then. These people are on some serious drugs.
Right. I mean, they definitely idolize this man and don't use any logic when it comes to idolizing him. They just follow him, whatever he says. And he has a great gift of just saying something and they believe it's true. Just like in the clip you just showed about, oh, we received a present. You could tell he was just making it up off the cuff, but his followers will believe it 100%. And what's interesting about this is that Trump always creates a problem and then thinks that he should be a hero for somewhat fixing his problem. He started this war and came in all big and bad as if this is what we're going to do. They have no choice. We are the mighty United States. And then now, if people would pay attention, he's talking about negotiating. Oh, I thought we weren't negotiating. What's going on? And he's losing in the negotiations, because at first, what did he say? They had 24 or 48 hours. But then he comes back because he realizes that the Iranians came back and said, please, we got you. I mean, they've called his bluff at every point. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, no, I'm going to pull back that 48 hours. And now I'm going to give them 5 days. I mean, he threatens, acts big and bad, and then he always changes direction, but acts as if he's a hero.
Nicole, I just sit here and just shake my head. And there's no doubt that big president, he lying. I mean, this dude will lie, and they'll swear, oh, no, he's telling you. He's a liar. He lies about lies.
Mm-hmm. He is the fake news president. And I'll really say what the rest of the world is thinking. This really makes the United States look weak as a country. One day he's posting something on Truth Social about how he's going to bomb Iran somewhere and take over the world. Then the next day he lies and come back and says we had negotiations. And it's embarrassing because the Iranian state media is saying, actually, we didn't negotiate anything. So what is he talking about? The whole world is confused about what Trump's plan is, and he probably doesn't even have a plan and never had a plan in the first place. But this is particularly dangerous because this is national security that we're talking about here. And the world is just waiting for Trump to post something on Truth Social and hope that it doesn't result in the deaths of millions or thousands of people.
Yeah, it's just, you just sit here and just go, okay, y'all are nuts. Y'all are nuts. All right, folks, we'll see what the next movie is. Got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk about what's happening, how farmers are being impacted by this idiotic war in the United States and Iran. Also, we'll talk about other news of the day, including the Save America Act, how Republicans are still desperate to pass this massive voter suppression bill. Lots to break down. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
This is Bill Duke, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Folks, debate is happening on the Senate floor right now. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey is up talking about this ridiculous war with Iran. Let's take a listen.
A horrific murder in Chicago last week has reminded this nation that the battle to defend the American people, strengthen our republic.
All right, folks. Booker literally just finished, and so we'll try to grab what he had to say. And have that for you. Let's talk about this Save America Act. What you have here is that there was a deal. There was a deal, and now it looks like, okay, Trump is so stupid now he's realizing to accept the deal. So the deal was, hey, let's go ahead and do a bill to fund TSA, have them paid by Friday to ease all of this drama at airports. That deal, Ted Cruz, John Kennedy, John Thune took it to the White House. Donald Trump said, no, I don't want any deal because I want to force the Democrats to vote and I want to pass the Save America Act. Well, y'all, that ain't going to happen. He rejected it. Well, he got ripped. So in 24 hours, he now realizes, yeah, player, you now own these shutdowns, the massive lines. Now you see, of course, he's sending ICE there. He treats ICE as his own personal law enforcement agency. And you got Republicans online, Nicole, who continue to say, oh, Democrats, they're at fault here. Nah, it's a little hard to say Democrats are at fault when literally Republicans control all levers of government. They're the ones who can't get their act together.
Exactly, Roland. And we saw the same thing with the government shutdown late last fall. Republicans have control of the whole government. And somehow it goes back to let's blame Obama, let's blame the Democrats and Joe Biden, who's not even in office anymore. It's their turn now to take control. And as we see, Americans don't want the SAVE Act because even the Republicans recognize that this is going to harm their ability to vote as well. So they don't have a plan to get out of this. And Trump isn't budging, even though his own constituents don't even want this.
Yeah, that is the case. In a moment, I'm going to play something, Randy, from hard right Congressman Chip Roy, who admitted admitted that, yeah, women are going to have a hard time being able to vote because of if this law passes. But again, you got Senator Mike Lee and others going, no, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. They're saying the truth privately because they know what's going on. And the bottom line is, it's a shameful bill, and they all are following an idiot. They're following somebody who is so stuck on stupid. They refuse to stand up to him. And so it's like, okay, y'all are going to get screwed, and your voters are going to get screwed by this. And so he's trying to play games, but I just think as days progress, and if the issues don't ease up, guess what? Democrats are like, we ain't got no reason to give in. They do not want to fund ICE. They want transparency when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security. And they're saying, we're not going to approve that budget if you don't give us the answers that we seek. That's the only leverage Democrats have. That's the leverage they should be using.
Right. And I hope that they do not bend whatsoever. I feel very saddened that TSA workers are not getting paid. I mean, it is criminal that you have these American working people sleeping in their cars, some of them, because they can't afford a place to live or a way to get back and forth to work. So it's criminal. But I do feel as if we need to stay strong. The Democrats do not need to bend whatsoever, and let Trump, who always thinks he's playing hardball, lose, because they will lose in this. And he doesn't seem to think, he really feels as if he's a dictator, and what he says goes, and he doesn't seem to understand. Well, he doesn't understand the way government works, just like he doesn't understand negotiation. So I'm really hoping that, Democrats stand firm. And because the American public cannot afford to have the SAVE Act go through, it would ensure that many people would not be able to vote. And we know the people they're targeting. They are targeting women. They are targeting people of color. It's going to affect people who've been adopted. It's going to affect, people who don't even have access to much of their paperwork, which that's mainly us. So we understand his plan. And if everyone gets a chance to vote, he knows that there's no way that Republicans can win. And even he has this fantasy that he's going to run again and be president again. And his brain works in a way that he feels that it's possible. So we need to block all of that mess.
Here is Congressman Chip Roy speaking truth about the utterly ridiculous Save America Act.
The SAVE Act is obviously critically important. The problem we have is we've got some folks out there that are trying to stir the pot on this allegation that it somehow is a barrier for married women to be able to vote because they've, got to deal with getting IDs with name changes and all those things. Although, frankly, I'm trying not to elevate the issue too much. My chief of staff had to go get a new ID in Virginia. Virginia's adopted the real ID system. So she had to go through a bunch of hoops. She's going to have to go back to the DMV twice because they want the paperwork for it. That's just part of the issue with how we try to set up the ability to identify people. But there's no barriers at all to married women being able to vote.
Mustafa, I'm sorry, did I just hear him say she's going to have to go back to the DMV twice because of the paperwork? Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to elevate this. Yeah, I think we know why you're trying not to elevate it.
Yeah, exactly. The SAVE Act is one of those sets of movements on Capitol Hill and, of course, at the White House that have no real meaning, no need. We know that there's very little, almost infinitesimal voter fraud that exists inside of our country. So there's no need for us to continue to move forward with it. It disenfranchises folks. It's about voter suppression and making sure that, folks don't have the ability to actually be able to go. And then he brought into it, the ID that we all have to carry if we want to be able to get onto an airplane, which is a real ID. Everybody pretty much has that now, or most of the country has moved forward with making sure that you have it. So that should be more than enough for us to be able to vote, along with other forms of ID. So this is about making sure that students don't vote. This is about making sure that folks of color don't vote. This is about, it will also impact elders. So no one really wants it when they know what it is, because there's not a problem. This is just purely politics, and it's going to fail.
You know what? So I'm going to ask you about this story here. Y'all are going to really love this here. Just this came across that it's amazing to me. And where are all the fiscal conservatives on this story? So here's what happened. 2019, black man goes into the Buffalo Police Department. By the way, Buffalo had a black mayor then. Goes into it, police department, and say 2 officers stopped him for no reason whatsoever. They handcuff him, put him in the back of that patrol car, search his vehicle, nothing happens, they let him go. So he goes in. The cops tell him, we're going to arrest you if you keep complaining about this, because he wanted to actually lodge a complaint. So check this out. The officers then claim they found crack cocaine in the back of their patrol car, saying that he stashed it. But he had no crack cocaine. It was planted by the cops. The prosecution then tried to scare this brother. His name is Bruce McNeil. Tried to scare him into accepting a plea deal. He wouldn't accept a plea deal. What happened? The prosecutors dropped the charges because they knew if they put the officers under oath, they would be lying. Now, check this out. One of the officers arrested the brother twice more. Quote, I heard you didn't accept the plea deal. The city is now going to pay a $700,000 settlement. But the officers are still employed, and they've had other complaints lodged against them for excessive force. It's amazing to me, Randy, where are these so-called fiscal conservatives who should be angry and upset that a city has to pay $700,000? Folks, these cops should not be on the force. And I dare say the cops should be fired. The prosecutors should be fired. Everybody involved in this case should be fired.
You know, racism, that whole fallacy of white supremacy gets them so high that they're stupid. It's like they're on crack cocaine themselves. What I have found is, regardless of how fiscally conservative someone claims themselves to be, once they get where there is a black person challenging them and they feel that level of authority that many cops feel, they just act plain stupid. And I am so happy that this story is public now, and that they are going to be, judged, at least by us, hopefully in a whole court of law. But that's what happened. That's what happened. They lose all sense when they get that white supremacist authority and wanting to think that they should be able to hold down a black man. And you know what? I appreciate Bruce. I don't know where you are, Bruce, but to you. Glad he stood up for himself.
This absolutely the racism that we deal with, Mustafa. And again, prosecutors try to force this brother to take a plea deal. They tried to scare him, and he said, absolutely not. I did nothing wrong.
That's right. He should stand up for himself. He should call Ben Crump, or he should call one of the other folks who come on the show who defend folks in our community from these types of injustices. I mean,
well, he's already got a $700,000 settlement. So they've got that. And so that's really all that he could do is sue the city. But that's it. But my whole deal is how these cops still employed, how the prosecutors still employed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got to continue to put attention on it. We got to continue to bring it forward so more people know about it, so more people put pressure on those local governments to make sure that these types of individuals, bad cops often equal broken trust, and bad cops often equal broken budgets, because we see some of the settlements that are out there, and rightly so, because when you try and dehumanize folks, when you try and, put charges on them that are not valid, then there should be a cost that's associated with that. And if these folks continue to keep bad cops employed, then you're sending a message about who's valued and who's not inside of a community.
Again, the cops should be gone, Nicole, and the lawyers, those prosecutors. Mm-hmm. I don't trust every cop involved in this, any prosecutor involved in this, in any future case.
No, and I laughed when you said that the prosecutors dropped the case, because they knew it was a losing case when they first took it on. And as lawyers, we take oaths to uphold the law and not waste judicial resources. And that's exactly what they did. They wasted everybody's time. They know this man did not do this, and now they're wasting taxpayer dollars because now the township has to pay up. So everybody needs to go, especially the prosecutors.
All right, folks. Quick break. We come back. We're going to talk to John Boyd, how farmers are really being screwed over this war in Iran. Because guess what? Prices go up because the things that they need aren't made here in America. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Breed and Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to cover the stories that we do every single day on this show and the other 5 shows on the Black Star Network. If you want to use Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Use that for also credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just 2 millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
What's happening? This is your man, Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, let's talk about how farmers are being impacted by this stupid war with Iran. The things that they need, fertilizer, for instance, a lot of these things, folks, they aren't made in the United States. I keep trying to explain to people, we live in a global economy. Supply chain is global. The things that we need, global. And so when you have this war in Iran, and Trump said that, he's been told, hey, don't call it a war, call it a conflict. The reality is the goods and services that people need in this country are impacted because high fuel costs, high oil costs, and also you make it difficult for other countries to get their products shipped around the world. John Boyd is the president of the National Black Farmers Association, joining us right now from Boydton, Virginia. And John, we've talked about tariffs. We've talked about that impact. But just explain to people how something as simple as fertilizer, which you kind of need as a farmer, how that's impacting, how this war is impacting the price of fertilizer and how that's already screwing farmers who got screwed by Trump's tariffs.
That's correct, Roland. And thank you for having me. It's been a snowball effect. So now we're dealing with this fertilizer thing where, we're not going to be able to get fertilizer in. And the agriculture secretary was on the news networks saying that farmers already have their fertilizer, so they wouldn't be impacted by this. Roland, that's not true. It's not true. I just had a meeting in Illinois this week with some farmers there, and none of the farmers at that meeting had purchased their fertilizer. These are the kind of untruths that the administration is telling. Fertilizer has went up 40%, a 40% increase. That's between $140 a ton to $200 a ton. And for the white farmers out there in the Midwest, it's going to equate, Roland, to a $100,000 increase to their bottom line based on Trump's war. And the president was talking about when oil prices go up and they're hovering around $100 a barrel, at one day $106, something like that, Roland. But what that does is it runs diesel fuel up. That farmers need diesel fuel for their tractors and combines and harvesters. $5 a gallon, and that's up nearly 40%. Truckers have to pay that, and farmers have to pay that. A 100 horsepower tractor has a 100-gallon tank on it, Roland. That's $500, man, every time you fill that tractor up. And the president says You know what it says? Oh, this is temporary. He said the same thing about tariffs. It's temporary. It's not temporary. We have 190 plus farmers that are delinquent and on their farm operating loan, farm ownership loan, farm equipment loan. They are facing foreclosure. And when you face foreclosure, Roland, guess what? We are losing generational farmers when we do that. This administration hasn't done one thing to work with the National Black Farmers Association since they came in office. And the president says, are we making money when the price of oil goes up? Well, who the same world is we, Roland, because it ain't black farmers. We're not making a dime off this. We're the ones paying for this high diesel fuel and high fertilizer. Farmers have to have fertilizer. It's the first step of the farm process. No fertilizer means no yields and no a good harvest. The fertilizer has to be spread now.
So farmers are already being squeezed profits. So when everybody watching, this is very basic, y'all. This is very basic. It's just like at your house. When your expenses go up, your profit margin gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And actually, you may end up in the red while trying to make some money because of what these idiots are doing. And this is what I'm saying, John. This is why all these people, all these nuts running around talking about, oh my God, great businessman, he's so smart. No, this man is costing people in a huge way. And he screwed farmers the first time he was there. He's screwing them now. And I saw something the other day. Again, more farmers are complaining. Now fishermen are complaining. He just canceled this wind farm project, and we're going to pay a French company $1 billion to shut down a wind farm because he doesn't like wind farms. I mean, it's costing people money. In the case of farmers, it's costing businesses, it's costing marriages, and it's costing lives.
It's costing lives. And you know what, Roland? $1 billion a day for a war that he wanted. We didn't have to go to this war. $1 billion a day, and the administration says we don't have nothing to help 190 black farmers that are facing foreclosure. They haven't proposed one item, nothing to help us keep our farms. But you got $1 billion a day for a war that's putting farmers out of business, man. Putting truckers out of business. And the people that's going to pay are the people watching this show. When you go into the supermarket in a few months, the price of food is going to go up because it costs more to get it there. The price of food is going to cost more because it costs me more to make a crop roller. This administration, in my point, gets a F minus for farmers. Black, white, I don't care what color he is. He's done farmers in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing how this is going again and again. I got to ask you about this here. Politico dropped this story, and again, now we're dealing with idiots over and over and over again. So Donald Trump is canceling a program that help farmers buy land. And it's their favorite one. Oh, this is DEI. So the USDA is called the Increasing Land, Capital, and Market Access Program. It was funded with the American Rescue Plan Act. It awarded roughly some $300 million to 50 projects for 5-year contracts. Well, again, they've decided that, and again, this is what Politico says, nonprofits, tribal governments, and other organizations apply for the funding to address land access issues for underserved farmers, including access to capital, market expansions, succession planning, and efforts to prevent land loss. The project were especially targeted to address land access issues facing black farmers, immigrant farmers, indigenous farmers, veterans, and other underrepresented groups. But they've said, oh, it's wasteful spending. Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, directed them to review this, and they said they're not going to be promoting DEI and to be free from fraud, abuse, and duplication. And here's the deal. Perfect example. This program.
Roland, stop putting black people and some fraud in the same sentence. There is no DEI on my farm. When I walk outside and hop in my tractor, I have to be able to make a crop. And that's something that these white people can't take away from me. The art and skill set. I'm a generational farmer. I learned how to farm from my daddy, who's a farmer all his life, and my grandfather, Thomas Ford. These people say they were master farmers because they didn't need any money from the government to make a crop. Black farmers are good farmers. And this stuff about a DEI on the farm, there's no special hiring out here because guess what? Nobody really wants to do this hard work. It's this administration with all of this nonsense. And guess what, bro? This really ain't a new story. It's just coming out. When they first came in, we probably out $2 million from USDA programs where we haven't been able to build or get those funds. And guess what? For people watching the show, go to blackfarmers.org and support us so we can keep these 190 farmers in business because this administration don't want us. But they want to bring white farmers. I'm going to tell that every time I come on this show, Roland, and bring them here, flew them here first class, things they ain't never done for black people, give them homesteads and monies and land out of inventory and grazing land. And they said they want to do away with race, but you bring a man from South Africa solely based on one race, which is white. Then that's why I said that this administration is all about whiteness, and we're going to have to regroup and get out here in the midterm election and change and flip this coin around on this president and vote these people out, man. Vote them out the Senate and vote them out the House and start putting pressure on this president so we can, start to impeach him and get him out of there, bro. And that's the only way that the things are going to get better in this country.
Absolutely, absolutely. Questions from the panel? Randy, you first.
It's so nice to meet you. I've read many articles about you. Wasn't there a lawsuit that the Black Farmers Association did have? And how is that? Where does that stand today?
Well, you know, and somebody talked about Ben Crump. I'm going to be talking with Ben tomorrow on his drive down. He's doing a speech at North Carolina Central, and we're going to come up with some sort of strategy. One for the panel and Roland, we didn't get a dime of the tariff money that they said was going to go back to farmers, and we want to sue the administration for the loss of tariffs, the money that we lost there. So I'm going to be talking with Ben Crump about that. The $5 billion, we never did get it. And Stephen Miller and Roland covered this thing from grit to grit when it came down. Stephen Miller found white farmers. He raised $3 million and began to sue me, well, not me, but sue the case, the black farmers in federal court, and they blocked the $5 billion in aid that was supposed to come to black farmers. They blocked it. And we tried to appeal it and all of these things. But long story short, we never got to $5 billion, and we never got our land out of federal inventory. And now Stephen Miller, the guy who was following me around when I was lobbying for the bills for black farmers for many decades, and he was a young staffer on the Hill. Now he's taking that anti-black message now to the White House. All that stuff that he's putting out there about this DEI, that is the architect behind that is Stephen Miller who's doing that. And it's nonsense. White farmers never been discriminated against. They got all of the money. And my whole 43-year career, I've been saying we want the same as, those two words, same as white farmers. I've never filed anything in court to stop a white farmer from participating in a federal program. But as soon as they thought we were getting $5 billion, they ran to individual federal courts around the country to block it. But long story short, I believe in God. I take him everywhere I go. And God don't like this foolishness. And he's going to fix it some sort of way.
Thank you.
Mustafa.
Well, John, it's good to see you. I haven't had a chance to talk to you in a while.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Well, my great-grandfather.
I think the people need to know the history here. We signed a historic MOU when Biden was in office about black farmers participating in EPA, and you were very instrumental in crafting that language so that we can start to participate as black farmers in the EPA program. And so my hat's off to you, and I'm glad to see Roland's tap you for this show. He has a good voice with you.
Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate that. My great-grandfather was a farmer. My grandfather was a farmer. Could you share with folks the importance of spring planting? People need to understand that certain things got to get in the ground.
Yes, and Roland tapped on, and I always get excited on this show, man. This is the baddest platform out there, man, for Black people. The first application that we have to do is we have to apply fertilizer to all of the ground that I'm going to be planting soybeans and corn in. The fertilizer goes in now, and we have a window of opportunity for planting season to about 30 to 60 days. Anytime after that, we get into what we would say in school, tardy or being late, and then you may make a crop or may not. So it's important for the listeners and watching this show, when they say we can't get fertilizer, and we can't right now, that is going to hurt farmers planting their crops across the country, because the first application has to be fertilizer, and then you plant your seed afterward. So thank you for that very, very important question, and it highlights the importance of what this president is doing. He said this is temporary. We got plenty of time to fix this. We don't, and something has to happen. If the Canadians are watching this show, they need to reach out to the National Black Farmers Association that they can help us get fertilizer to our members. We welcome to have that discussion.
Nicole.
Mr. Boyd, hello. We've not met yet, but I also have farmers in my family, so thank you for the work that you do. Yes, I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit more about the long-term impacts of these cuts and the war in Iran, because I think a lot of Americans think after the midterms and after Trump is out, okay, everything will go back to normal, but I don't imagine that that's true.
This president has damaged Black farmers for decades, just like Roland just asked me about them rolling back an incentive program that would help Black farmers and Native American farmers. All of those things, they immediately want to cut that. Those programs allow us to do certain things to help our members that USDA offices are not going to do. That's what the whole problem was in the first place. So the long-term impact of that equals land loss. And that's why I'm beating the drum. Those are 190 farmers who have contacted us and say, hey, we need some sort of payment or something to help bring our payments up current so we don't lose our farms. These are things that are happening to us. And when you lose a generational farmer, like I talked about, my farmer's been in the family, man, for 100 years. And the art and skill set and training to be a farmer came with many decades. When you take that farmer out of farm production in this country, the people who are going to pay are the American people, because that's a guy who knows how to produce food in mass numbers, and that type of operation, people, doesn't happen overnight, and that type of training doesn't happen overnight. Not to say that somebody can't come out here and learn to farm. That's not what I'm saying. But you're taking a generational agriculture producer off his land, and you're taking those goods out of the supermarket, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt us as Black people. But guess what? Black farmers been here before. We've been down before. Slavery and sharecropping and Jim Crow. It's the large-scale white farmer that's going to lose record numbers in acres. And I've been on. Me and Roland talked about the importance of Black people forming investment groups and going to these auctions and buying a portion of those farms that they can afford to buy. One man's travesty could be another man's gold if we do this right. They're going to lose way more land than Black farmers in this country, and we need to be prepared to buy that land. But we also need to be prepared to call on wealthy Blacks, because the government clearly doesn't want us to cut out everything to help us. And wealthy Blacks in this country, and we do have some, should be reaching out to the National Black Farmers and say, hey, board, how much do you need, man, to get these 190 Black farmers out of foreclosure, man? And I can call some of my billionaire friends. We got to start helping ourselves, because the government, this president said they don't want nothing Black. That's what he's saying. And we want it all white. And I'm saying we got to start wanting ourselves, and we got to start writing some happy checks and trusting each other and helping each other.
Thank you.
So you said that. So John, you said there are 190 Black farmers in foreclosure. What's the total amount of land?
Oh man, I would say probably 100,000 acres. I would say altogether, Roland. If you look at
And what's that? And what's that number in terms of, let's say, in terms of what would that cost?
Probably $50 million. Get these farmers out of foreclosure. Probably a good $50 million. For example, Roland, I got and I always like to break it down for myself because I ain't above anybody here. I'm in the same boat as the other black farmers. I got an $80,000 fertilizer bill that's and partial seed bill that I haven't finished paying from last year. That's an example of a farmer that's in distress. That's just seed. That's just seed and fertilizer. Yes, I paid my mortgage, but there are other black farmers that have not been able to pay their mortgages, pay their farm operating loans, or some sort of equipment loans. And these are the calls. And Roland, this went up 20 farmers in about a week and a half because this thing is compounded. The tariffs. Now you got this war, and you got a government who is completely cutting every program that they think will help anybody that look like anybody on this program tonight. And that's why I'm saying that there are some black billionaires, and we know things are tight, but we shouldn't be losing black farmers, man, when we have a government who is racist from the microphone and comes out every other day and say they don't want us. Roland, this president said he didn't want me to come to the White House meeting, man, when he had a farm meeting. They said the same thing. Oh, we're moving away from DEI. We're moving away from the black farm issue. So you mean to tell me that I can't come to the White House and represent 160,000 farmers in this country because I'm a black man? And that's pretty much what they said, and that's pretty much what they did. So I'm saying they don't want us. We don't want them, but let's want ourselves, and let's raise enough money, man, to get these 190 black farmers, man, out of foreclosure. We shouldn't sit back, man, and let that happen. So a little bit frustrated there, and it's also a plea because I know I'm talking to Black America when I come on here with Roland Martin, and I can say things that I can't say on the other networks. And Roland know how this works. If I was saying some of this thing on these other networks, man, I wouldn't get the call back, Roland. But I know that this is a network where I can sit in the living rooms of Black America. And Roland, I got to tell us before we go. There was a black family when I got back from Illinois, and I stopped at the airport and had dinner. There was a black family that said, hey, man, I've been watching you on Roland Martin. I watch Roland Martin every night at 6 o'clock. Is there any way you can send a special hello to him? I took a picture of that family, of that whole black family, man, having some little small reunion. And I sent that picture to Roland Martin. I said, Roland, and I called the families' names. I said, these are two families that watch your program every night. That's the difference of this show. And I know that I'm talking to Black America when I come on the show. So Black America, that save these black farmers, go to blackfarmers.org and get in touch with me, and let's come up with a strategy to keep these farmers on their farm.
Well, you definitely sent that to me, and I appreciate them watching. And they should know. So Thursday, I'm actually in Raleigh, North Carolina.
That lady said, I love Roland Martin, and I watch him every night. She said every night. And that lady came over to my dinner table and made that known. And she wanted me, she said, can you let Roland know that my family watches his show every night? I said, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it right now. And I went over there and took that picture, and I sent it to you in that time space. And these are the kind of people, man, that's supporting your program and believe in what you're doing on this network, man.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate them for watching, their support, and they should know I'm actually in Raleigh on Thursday. Alpha Phi Alpha has the regional conference. The Alphas have their regional conference in Raleigh. I am moderating the public program. It is open to the public. And so they can certainly, they can come on out.
And meet you.
So that's going to be on Thursday. Thursday, the doors open at 6. I'll be moderating that panel. We'll have a guest host on the show because I got to moderate that panel because they're not streaming it. But they can come. So I would love to meet them. They come on out to the Alpha Regional Convention on Thursday in Raleigh.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, John, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
I love you, man. I appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate it, my brother. Folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered. And I have not forgotten. I keep telling John, I have not ridden horses in a long time. But I got to go down his farm so I can go ride some horses. Y'all, I'm dead serious. All right, y'all. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
What's up? It's Talib Kweli. I'm CEO. This is the Black Star Network.
You want to see stuck on stupid? Donald Trump has been yelling and screaming, saying mail-in balloting is mail-in cheating. Yet guess what that fool did on Monday? He voted by mail. Now he's claiming, his ballot was hand-delivered because he's in the White House. Okay, but here's the problem: aren't they always complaining about other people handling your ballots? Remember, some of the states passed a law that said that even if you were elderly and your son or daughter, they were not allowed to take your ballot to a drop box. See, this goes to show you why these people are liars, okay? Why they are liars. This fool, Donald Trump, has whined and complained about mail-in voting, and he votes by mail multiple times. This is why, Nicole, I keep saying, the man will lie about a lie. And folks need to understand that. And so what we need to understand as Black people, and this is, we've been saying this all week, what happens when we do not vote. And let me be real clear, okay? Right now in this moment, I don't give a damn about white people. I don't care about Latinos. I don't care about Asian Americans, Native Americans. I'm talking about Black people. And when Black people don't vote, when we do not maximize our voting power, other people get into office. And when those people get into office, they begin to enact laws that negatively impact us. So every time I run into one of these yahoos who say, I wasn't feeling Hillary Clinton, I ain't voting 2016, well, guess what? You helped contribute to Donald Trump getting 3 Supreme Court justice picks. And now when the Supreme Court is making anti-Black rulings, well, guess what? Hello, that's a result of not voting. And so right now, you're concerned, oh my God, there's something they're passing in the House. Guess what? Donald Trump, the Republicans have the House because of a total of 7,000 votes. 7,000. 7,000 votes in several congressional races. That's what allowed them to get to 218 and have the majority in the House. We could talk about Again, I've run these numbers down before. North Carolina, why, one of the reasons why they have the majority, because of North Carolina. North Carolina, they've got 14 congressional districts. You know what happened before? There's a Democratic Supreme Court. They ruled partisan and racial gerrymandering to be unconstitutional. They went from 10-4 Republican to 7 Republicans and 7 Democrats. Well, when Sherry Beasley ran for the state Supreme Court justice, she lost by 401 votes. It's a lot of black people in North Carolina who did not vote. She lost by 401 votes. Democrats could have had a 6-1 majority on the state Supreme Court. It's now 5-2 Republican. And you know what they did? Allow them to go back to the old district. So that's 6 seats. Then they gerrymandered Don Davis's seat, so it went from 10-4 to 11-3. That's +8. So the reality is, listen to me clearly, if black people in North Carolina alone had voted our numbers, Republicans would not have a 6-seat majority from North Carolina. That's enough to give them the majority. That's why right now, Virginia is talking about a 10-1 map. And there's a lot of people out there like Democrats, oh, okay, it's not fair. And all Republicans are yelling, oh my God, this is not fair, not fair. But they had no, but again, the same Republicans who are saying it's not fair in Virginia for Democrats to have a 10-1 map said nothing about the Republican map in North Carolina where it was 10-4. And after November, it's going to be 10-3. They said nothing about the map changing in Texas. They said nothing about Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver's district in Missouri being snatched away. I can go on and on and on. And so what I need black people to understand, what Trump is doing by complaining about mail-in balloting, they're complaining about absentee balloting, they don't want early voting. They have targeted black folks voting. North Carolina, federal judges ruled that they had a surgical-like precision in targeting black voters by limiting early voting. Ohio, perfect example. How you got a big-ass county like Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is, and you got one early voting location? Because Republicans said, oh, if we only have one location, we limit how many people can actually vote. So I'm going to keep yelling till I am blue, black, red, yellow, in the face, don't matter the color. For black people to understand that we cannot complain about something after the fact when we do not maximize our electoral power, then we are allowing crazy, deranged, white supremacists, white nationalists, MAGA folk, and weak Democrats getting into office. Nicole?
Mm-hmm. And Roland, those numbers are almost hard to hear because black people, we have so much power in our electorate. And they know that we have that power. They have been trying to take it away since we got the right to vote, trying to vote the Voting Rights Act. And now we have the SAVE Act. They're trying to do anything they can to stop black people from voting. And we cannot let them. And look, Trump is the president of inconsistencies and contradictions. This is not even the first time that he's used mail-in voting, but yet somehow it's connected to all of this fraud. And we've seen time and time again, and we've seen all the studies that mail-in voting is not fraudulent, and it is something that countries around the world use. So I hope that our people continue to recognize that we do have the power when we get to the polls and vote, because we truly, truly need them to show up in November. And the Republicans are scared. That's why the Senate is debating the SAVE Act right now, because they're afraid of the power that we do have.
Randy, listen, Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mother, in 2000 what year was this? Give me 1 second. This is in 2020. She ran for the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners. She ran against the mayor of Miami Beach, Oliver Gilbert. She lost that primary by 331 votes. There was an election in Virginia a few years ago where it was tied. It was a virtual tie. The winner's name was pulled out of a hat. And that race actually decided which party controlled that chamber of the Illinois legislature. And that race gave it to the Republicans. One race tied 13-13. So I keep telling people, in fact, Boca Raton just elected a mayor and it's the first time a Democrat has been mayor in Palm Beach, in Boca Raton, in 35 years. And I believe he won that race. It was let's see here. He won that race by one vote.
I won. Mm-hmm.
One vote.
I read about that, and listen, it's such an illustration that every vote matters, and we need our people to rally and vote no matter what. If we see all the efforts that they're going to stop our ability to vote, then it should very much tell us that they know it matters. So we should understand that it matters. I think that there has been a lot that has been done to really disenfranchise us from the entire system and make people believe, particularly our young people, that it does not matter. And we need to, everyone, it's responsibility for all of us. Most of the people who are watching you today, of course, are voters. They're going to vote, but it's not just about what we do personally. It's also about what are we doing to ensure that we get others out to vote. If we have to drive people, we have to encourage people. If we're talking to family members, my sons wouldn't dare not vote because they know that mama will go upside their head or something like that. I mean, that is just a responsibility that you have because we as a people need it. And we see what happens when we don't vote. If no one learned anything from the way that they have destructed DEI, using racism, because DEI did not benefit us more than anybody, but it was necessary to create a diverse and inclusive spaces. The way they have torn it apart, and it totally was because we did not have the vote, because the Supreme Court it's really working for Trump at this point and has all the power. So we can't make the mistakes that we've made in the past of not being engaged. We cannot be apathetic. We have to be active. Truly our lives depend on it.
Mustafa.
I'm thinking about our discussion, and I'm remembering a quote that says, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do." And I think about it from both sides of the coin. So in relationship to Trump, we know that he continues to utilize mail-in voting, and we understand the dynamics of why he's trying to limit it for others. So I can't believe what he says. But I'm also going to flip it on our folks, because we got a whole bunch of folks who say they love Black folks, that they love Black culture, that they love Black community. But when you don't vote, what you're doing is you're limiting your ability around your rights and your resources. When I think about voting, that's the way that I frame it out. It's about rights and resources. So you understand all these dynamics and these impacts that happen inside of our community. And when you don't vote, you're absolutely not doing anything about it. And you're actually co-signing, even if you don't want to admit that you are, even if you sat on the couch. And if you want to talk about how we don't have the resources that we need inside of our communities and you don't vote, then you are also playing into that, and you're saying it's okay that folks can strip away resources, that we don't have the investments that are necessary, that we don't have those nonprofits that are so incredibly important that help to weave together the safety net because federal laws haven't always protected our communities. So I can't believe what you say because I see what you do, and I hope that you change it and you do something different.
One of the folks who understands this is Baton Rouge, Louisiana activist Gary Chambers Jr. He joins us right now. One of the things that he's been doing is holding elected officials accountable. Y'all have heard me say numerous times on this show that the election is the end of one process and the beginning of another. That when the election is over, we then have to go from voter mobilization organization into voter engagement, and that is watching what is being done at the city council, the school board, the county government, the state level, and the federal level. We've got to have people who are not just looking at the big stories, but also when votes are being made in committees. You're talking to somebody, folks, y'all watching somebody who covered City Hall, who covered county government, who's covered state government, who understands how these systems work. And Gary has been doing that. And Gary, they had this particular bill. There's a couple of bills. One naming a bridge after Donald Trump, and another one where they named a bill after Don Lemon that imposes penalties on people who actually, as they say, disrupt churches. And you've been tagging and calling out black legislators who support those bills. Explain to the folks.
You know, Roland, I thank you as always for paying attention to what's happening in Louisiana. So there are two bills that were in the legislature that, one, we moved some legislators who accidentally, as they shared with us, voted for a Trump bill, but people around the community, around the state, advocated to let them know that they did not want them to vote in favor of naming a bridge after Trump. There's a gentleman named Mike Echols, who is a state representative in Louisiana. He's a Republican. He's running for Congress, and he is utilizing, trying to name a bridge after Donald Trump that's not even in his district. He doesn't even live in that part of the state, but he's trying to name a bridge that's going to potentially go across the Mississippi River Bridge after Donald Trump, because he thinks it's going to help him, because he is running against someone that Donald Trump endorsed. Donald Trump endorsed Blake Miguez in the race, and so he's trying to get that support away from Miguez to himself. And a black legislator and a white legislator were caught up in the middle of that. I spoke with Representative Chassaw, who said he was outside reading or talking with a family who was grieving about their child, who a bridge was being named after. He came in, said he didn't read it, and he accidentally voted to name the bridge after Donald Trump in committee. We applied a lot of pressure, let them know about that. And yesterday on the House floor, both of those representatives voted against the naming of that bridge, which is what you want to see. You want to see people respond to when they hear people, and you want them to communicate. Hey, if you made a mistake or you made an error, communicate that to the public, because the voting record showed that you supported this. We need to make sure that the people know that this is not acceptable for you to be in support of this. And there's another bill that is about disturbing the peace that on its face, in my opinion, should have been rejected by every Democrat on the committee. But every Democrat on the Criminal Justice Committee voted in favor of a bill that would increase the penalty for disturbing the peace if you're in a church. For me, the legislator who brought the bill, on her face said that she's bringing this in response to what happened in Minnesota. Well, a protest happened in Minnesota where Don Lemon and Georgia Fort were arrested. Legislators are quietly behind their back. Conservative legislators are calling it the Don Lemon bill. And now they have passed it out of committee with the support of Democrats. The justification for the Democrats is we've watered the bill down. What we need from Democrats is fighting against these bills tooth and nail. You have the authority to object to these bills, but we've actually had legislators double down and tell us, well, we made the bill, we amended the bill, we made it less effective. If the intent of the bill is to be in response to something that happened in Minnesota, and there are no black clergy in Louisiana asking for this bill, I can't understand why any black state representative especially would be in support of it. And so we've made noise about this so that state representatives, when this comes to the full House, will vote against this, because I haven't heard a single citizen in the span of this discourse that has been in favor of us increasing the penalty for disturbing the peace. It also would make it a felony if you committed battery inside of a church at a protest. So then that person would end up, if you have 30 people at a protest and the police decide to say that everybody gets charged with battery, now we've got to have a jury trial for all of those people. And I don't think that that is something that helps us become a safer city or a state. I don't think that those are things that make us make a church service safer, as well as this is going to make the cost of court and the process more belaboring, which if you're attempting to protest, the goal is to get as much attention as possible. I think this helps them get more attention.
And Gary, again, the point here, and I've said this so many times, that there was a group of people in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and early 2000s. There were a group of people nationally. In every community we had them. And these were the baby boomers. These were the warriors. These were the people who went to council meetings, who pulled the agenda, who knew when the meetings took place, who paid attention to what was happening in committee hearings, and they would report back to the communities. A lot of these people were NAACP leaders. A lot of these people were grassroots activists, not with the NAACP. And I said that these people, guess what? they hit their 60s and their 70s and their 80s. And one of the reasons when we talk about what's happening in black communities nationwide is that we have lost a significant infrastructure of the people who understood civic engagement, who understood politics 101, who understood the different pieces, and they would inform the other community groups. They would send out notices. And what I keep saying to people is posting a tweet or an Instagram post after the fact doesn't help. I mean, it can raise attention, but we gotta have folk who are engaged in this stuff after the election, because a bill has to go to a committee first. A bill can get killed in committee and never reach the floor. And so what you are doing, people had to understand, is critically important. And this is what we need in communities nationwide, because billions of dollars are being spent on projects and initiatives, and black folk have no participation in the contracts, no participation in the grants, none of that stuff, because we don't even know it's happening.
And we are at a disadvantage every time. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I think that too often we have gotten in a posture where we are more concerned about how the politician feels than we are about how the people feel. There are a lot of politicians that right now in Louisiana feel like I shouldn't be having this conversation. I'm not against you if I'm talking about this. I'm trying to get you to see that there are people in Louisiana that want you to vote differently. I'm not against you if I have a conversation about a piece of policy. I'm not talking about your mama. I'm not talking about your daddy. I ain't talking about what you did last week. I'm talking about your vote. And if I can't have a conversation publicly to scrutinize your public vote, then you're trying to rob me of my ability to be a citizen. And I'm going to be a full citizen. I'm not going to allow anybody to relegate me to second-class citizenship where I can't challenge the people that we have voted for and ask them to do better by the people that elected them. I think that too often we have gotten in a posture, especially the Democratic Party, where we're trying to figure out how do we work with the conservatives. These people don't want to work with you. These people are robbing you blind every week. And if they are robbing you blind every week, they have a supermajority, and you have a lower percentage of black people and Democrats turning out to vote. The reason might be that you're not fighting enough. And so maybe somebody's got to light a fire under your asses so you get up and fight for the people that elected you so that you can build momentum at the grassroots level so people can be motivated to show up to vote. Because why would they be motivated to show up to vote for people who will not even fight for them in the committees that they elected them to serve on?
I literally had somebody tell me, and actually this was the second person who told me, Gary, that there are several CVC members, several Congressional Black Caucus members who don't like me and who are not fond of me. And my response was, well, I guess those are the people who can't stand accountability. And we make it perfectly clear on this show. If you do good, we'll talk about you. If you do bad, we'll talk about you. At the end of the day, we'll talk about you. And the reality is our responsibility is not to placate black leadership, white leadership, Hispanic leadership, Native American, Asian American leadership. It is to challenge folk and advocate on behalf of black people. I made it clear when Obama was there. I wasn't concerned about getting invites to his birthday party or to stuff along those lines. My job was to speak to what was happening to black people, because he was only going to be there 8 years. He's had a whole lot of birthday parties since he left in January 2017. But the bottom line is to fight for what's going on. And we've got to have people who are informing our folks about what's happening. And that's why, I've been saying, I've told the Black Caucus themselves directly, hey, federal government spends $1 billion a year on advertising. Y'all should be fighting for money for black-owned media, because you know what? You don't have black folks who are covering Congress and what's happening through there specifically for black America. You got black people who work in mainstream media, but those folks, their agenda ain't black first. And this is what we have to have. And so what you're doing there, and you mentioned the state rep, when you called him out, he He had to come out and say what happened. He had to explain why he wasn't sitting in his chair. And then he had to commit to not making that mistake again by having something pass while he's out of the room.
I think that we have to remember accountability is not an attack. And that if we have a role in this as citizens, it is to make sure that the people that we elect deliver on what they say that they're going to do. I know that you are busy raising your family. I know that you got sometimes 2 and 3 jobs, but they taxing you at every one of them. And if they're going to tax you at every one of them, you ought to make sure that the resources that they are taxing you are going to people who look like you so that they can create jobs for people who look like you so that you can work 1 job instead of 3 jobs. And one of the things that I don't think we realize is the level of corporate welfare that exists. Now, listen, if they were down there voting on some of this stuff and North Baton Rouge, New Orleans East was ending up with a grocery store on the other side of it, maybe we could have a conversation. If they were down there and some of their votes ended up where you cut this deal here or you went along with this and voted with them, but we got 10,000 jobs created for black people in the state of Louisiana, then maybe we could have a conversation. But I haven't looked at a single piece of legislation where on the other side of it, we see a harvest for black people in the economic opportunity or the quality of life in our communities. And if we're not turning a harvest for our people, we're not getting a return on our investment as voters, and that's a problem for me. And I think that we as black people need to have a doggish attitude with our leadership. I think our leadership has got it twisted that we want, you need to support us. I watch conservatives every day fight in public. Fox News is a battle between conservatives. Yeah, they are praising Trump every day, but the conservatives within their party, they are fighting for a place forward. And we are sitting here every day pretending that there should be no political tug-of-war happening within the Democratic Party. Well, if you were doing so damn good for the people, you'd have a higher voter turnout in some of these communities. And the fact that you don't have that turnout is a proof that people are sick and tired of what they're getting so that they're not showing up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It all goes together. And last point here, I was talking to a brother in Birmingham who was asking me about who's going to run in 28. Then we got around to it. He ain't voted. And, man, I laid into his ass. And I said, here's the problem. I said, when you don't vote, and then and if you do vote, and then you don't follow up, and you don't stay kicking these politicians behind, that means somebody else is going to be benefiting from your tax dollars. And for all these people, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I remember I had all these Simple Simon Negroes when I had this brother on Georgia who opened this school for black boys, and they were like, man, you sitting here, you dogging that brother, you know, he bootstrapping this and you know, and he doing for self. And I was like, are y'all that dumb? I said, you can't open a school, even if it's a private school, without government, because you need, guess what? You need to pass inspection. You need a certificate of occupancy. You got to be able to, I mean, I began to walk this, and in fact, the school that he was trying to get was a public school. The government, which is the school district, had to turn the school over to him. I'm like, so y'all sitting here act like, I keep saying these Simple Simons, y'all need to, y'all act like that there's in this world that nobody else is dealing with government. And then you get these ignorant-ass black conservatives who go, black people, see, y'all dependent on the government. When Trump went to Saudi Arabia, 32 CEOs went with him. Why? Money. I just sat here and looked at, I saw the email, Ad Age reported that the U.S. Army is opening up the U.S. Army advertising contract. That contract alone is worth $4 billion. That's government. OpenAI, NVIDIA, I can go down the line tied to government. And so if you're one of these black people who are stuck, you sitting here, you're begging the Democrats, you sitting there shilling for the Democrats, fool. The American economy is a $30 trillion economy. Do you know who gets subsidies from the federal government? Oil and gas. Gary, you're there in Louisiana. I'm born and raised in Houston. We know exactly what's happening with the oil and gas industry. Billions in subsidies. And so isn't it amazing that you got these Simple Simon Negroes who say, man, you shouldn't be sitting here asking the government for nothing, when corporate America is doing the same thing, when government funds projects around the world, and they saying as black people, we should not be fighting and advocating for the same dollars? Oh, hell no.
Here's the problem. Right now, in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, Amazon is opening a data center, a $12 billion project that's going to happen in the Shreveport area. But when they walked in, they said, we're going to create 500 permanent jobs, and you can't tax us for this, and you can't give us, these are the list of things that we can't be taxed for. These are the things that we want a tax break on, and if you don't give us that, we're not going to invest this $12 billion. Now, we're getting a $12 billion investment for 500 permanent jobs, but they are being able to skate out on taxes. Now, when the last time you've been able to skate on yours? That's the question you got to ask. That Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who has more money than all of us combined, is able to open up businesses all over the country and get tax subsidies, tax rebates, and reforms where they don't even have to pay into the government their fair share of taxes, but you have to pay your fair share of taxes every time, and you can't get a pothole fixed in your neighborhood. You can't get twice a week trash pickup. You can't get your kids with a functioning school system, but you are every day abdicating your authority and your power to show up and control that with your vote. Because Elon wouldn't be able to cut these deals if conservatives weren't in a supermajority in Louisiana. If they were in a position where Jeff Bezos and them were coming to Louisiana for these deals, but they had a Democratic legislature that said, we're not going to give you these tax breaks and subsidies, you have to pay your fair share, you would have the money to fix the bridges, the roads, the schools, and invest in your company. And here's the other part. If all of the white men in America who make a ton of money that all of these black people say they want to be like went and bought them a senator, why don't you have one? If all of the white men that you say you want to be like, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they all sitting at the table with politicians, but you don't even know your city council member, how bad are you? If you say you want to be like the white man, be like the white man, damn it. Because he is going by his politician to influence the vote of that politician to help his people. And he is focused on the interests of the groups of people that help them generate more money. So, of course, Tesla is continuing to grow because he's built a space program so that he can siphon off money from the government to fund his enterprise. And then he doesn't have to pay taxes back in because he's got a contract with the government and they're subsidizing him on taxes. But you got to pay your fair share on the 15th of April. Get ready.
Absolutely. Gary Chambers, we surely appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother.
All right, folks, when we come back, our Shop Black Star Network segment right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Brain to Funk fan club. Please do so. Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's also for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Brittany Noble, Midwest-born, HBCU educated with experience in newsrooms across the country. Well, I've teamed up with Roland Martin to bring to you The Breakdown. This isn't just news. It's our stories, our voice, our community. Join me for The Breakdown, Monday through Friday at midday, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
All right, folks, let's talk about our Shop Black Star Network segment. One entrepreneur focused on this idea of empathy when it comes to card games. It's called Actually Curious. The objective is not to win to lose, but to get real with the other players, fostering an empathy-driven movement focused on human connection. The game's creator, Michael Tennant, joins us right now. Michael, so walk us through how is this a game? What does it do to make us be more empathetic?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we started out with a really ambitious idea that we could gamify bringing people together who might have a distance between them, a riff, maybe even different political views. If we could turn it into a game, we might be able to actually trick people into strengthening the skills that they need to believe that they could come together. So the way it works is, it teaches active listening skills. One person asks a question, the other person answers, and the person who asks a question listens to receive. And if you're playing in a bigger group, the person that is listening gets to award a point to the answer that they resonate with the most. So it really gets us practicing the skills that we need to hear one another.
Okay, so how does that work, though? So you say I award a point based upon how it resonates. So what if it doesn't resonate? You don't get a point?
If you're playing in a group, in that case, that wouldn't be the person that you would award. But where it really gets beautiful is you're gonna give the point to someone, and then you get to explain to them what about that resonated for you. And how many situations have you been in where you've had the opportunity to get past the niceties and actually get into meaningful conversations? And when you actually hear something that reminds you of your past or reminds you of an experience you went through, it makes you get closer to that person. But I got some questions here too. So, if you're down,
yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to
go
play
ahead.
with you. All right, so I'm gonna start you off light.
So let's.
right?
Well, actually, hold on. So we'll bring the panel in as well. So let's go ahead. All right, go ahead with what's the question?
Okay, so it's not just me and you. All right, so I think it's important for your viewers to know that there are 5 editions. There's the Our Future edition for kids, the Culture edition, which explores the music, the film, the fashion, the sports that we love. The Happy Hour edition, which explores what makes us happy. This one is the banger for date night. This is really great for your own kind of self-reflection and well-being. And then we've got the most important deck, the Human Rights edition, which explores our blind spots around important topics that we don't always have the right avenue in. So I was thinking we could start you off in the kids edition.
So give us. No. We're not doing the kids edition. We're gonna do the culture one. Let's go. Let's do the culture one. So I'm bringing in Nicole, Mustafa, and Randy as well. So let's go. What you got?
All right. So I curated a few questions for us. So we're gonna lead off with this culture edition question. GOAT, greatest of all time. Who is one athlete that you respect or admire?
What you got, Mustafa?
Paul Robeson.
What you got,
Nicole?
Nicole?
I need something that I can. What's the why?
He was an All-American athlete. He also was a big champion for our community, so he understood how both education, athletics, and civil rights could play a role in helping us to be able to move forward.
Okay.
Nicole?
Asia Wilson, of course. As a former college athlete, she paved the way for women in sports and women in athletics. She's incredible, undeniable, great personality, strong Black woman, all the things.
Randy?
Of course, Muhammad Ali. He was a fighter, not just in the ring, but outside of the ring. He did so much for our people and was absolutely charming.
I'll go Bill Russell, obviously activist, player, Olympian, college champion, first Black head coach in the NBA, and also was a player coach, lived in 2 championships, and all around great guy. So, all right, so how do we award points? So how does that work?
All right, so it's really up to you as the game host or, the party host if you want to play it in the way where you're awarding points. Right now, I'm feeling like the winner because I feel like I got a little bit of each of you hearing those answers and also got to be reminded of some of my heroes as well. But since we're going to play
if I was the game host, so basically if I didn't like somebody's answer, I don't give them a point.
It would be about how you want to set it up front, right? So if you're trying to, honestly, if I'm playing with a group of people that don't normally share, I'm making it competitive. People are going to get bought in on the competitive side. But if I'm really just trying to foster a really, just learn more, kick back with my friends, then I might not award the point. But just for the illustration, I'm going to award the point to Muhammad Ali. It's a shared hero of mine as well. I love the risks that he took to use his platform, how he was compelled to do so. And I'm sure that exists in a lot of the athletes that were shared, but that's the one I'm most familiar with, so I'll award the point.
All right, one more.
So I'll give you the choice since you're the host of this show. Do we want to go into the Happy Hour edition, which explores the things that makes us happy, or the Human Rights edition, which explores 52 questions that explores topics that we need to be discussing?
All right, do one of Human Rights.
All right, so I'm going to go with my gut. The one that I put on top is, I would say, a medium, and it's what fears or traumas have you inherited from your parents or ancestors? Yeah, I saw that. I saw that swallow over there, Roland.
Yeah, because I'm doing a protein shake in the middle of the show.
Fair enough.
Randy, go.
What fear? Maybe eating at buffets, like eating around people that I don't know are clean, like potlucks and things like that. Like everyone in my family doesn't eat at strange people's places, or we don't eat food that we don't know who fixed it outside of a restaurant.
All right, so we're inviting you to the potluck. Nicole.
I would say a fear of risk taking. I think it's easy to just put your head down, go to work, and come home and provide for your family so everybody can stay safe. I'm trying to break out of that, but I have inherited that from my people.
Mustafa.
Financial stability.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important because a number of folks in my family line, things were stolen from them, whether it was land, their life, or a number of other types of things. So we always think that if we're stronger financially and economically, then we can be able to deal with some of those challenges.
The reality is, I don't have any fears.
I don't have any.
When you talk about family, I don't look back and go, oh, I have a fear of this. I just do. I just go about and do what I do. I don't even think about the concept of fear does not enter my mind at all.
I sense some of that from some of the interviews that I've heard and things that I've heard. I think this is a beautiful, important question that we don't really get to explore often with the people that we love. And Nicole, I really resonated with your answer. Something that I think about is kind of like assuming that there's like some punishment around the corner, and then I'm working to undo however that belief system ended up in me. But I'm really grateful for the opportunity to show you all a range of what's going on here at Actually Curious. I said we started off with adult light, and then we ended up on adult very deep. But across the 5 editions, Actually Curious sets you up as the host to say, all right, I want to keep it light and intimate and fun and connect, or I want to be able to potentially work the people I love up to some of these topics that I think we should be exploring as a community.
All right, folks, the game is Actually Curious, and so you can go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to check it out. And so we're adding this to our lineup of Black-owned businesses that are on the show. Of course, Randy's truthing game, her card game, is already on the site. Actually Curious is there as well. So go to the site, check it out, and support this Black-owned business, and we support them. You also supporting this show as well. Michael, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I'm going to close the show out with this here. As this white man showing his racism, he's running for the United States Senate in South Carolina. He decided to directly target NASCAR's only black driver, Bubba Wallace, with this statement when they had a race last week in Darlington, a NASCAR race last week. Listen to this fool.
Good afternoon from Darlington, South Carolina. We're at the Darlington Raceway for the Goodyear 400. Look, on June 10th, 2020, NASCAR banned the flying of Confederate flags at its races. As your next U.S. Senator from South Carolina, my first call is going to be to the CEO of NASCAR, Jim France. Sir, we want to fly our flags again at NASCAR, and we don't give a crap what Bubba Wallace thinks. South Carolina will rise again.
Well, that must be a interesting campaign theme there, Mustafa. Let's bring racism back. Let's also remember that it took 9 black people being shot and killed at Emmanuel AME in Charleston for South Carolina to remove the Confederate flag from its state grounds. But clearly, Paul Dans says, "What the hell? Let's run on a campaign of racism. Why not?"
Why not? Because he has no policies. I mean, isn't that amazing? He said the first phone call that I'm going to make, it's not about addressing the price of food or the price of gas or making sure people got a place to live. It is about racism. It is about the Confederacy, which lost a war and tried to separate the country. So we'll see how his campaign turns out. But if you want to vote for a racist, it sounds like you got an individual to choose right there.
Must be something else, Nicole, to say I'm going to make a direct, overt appeal to all the bigots in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Right, to all of his people in South Carolina. And, you know, they try to act like it's about Southern pride and all of that, but we know it's just about white supremacy and the Confederacy. Y'all were the losing team and you still can't give it up. And the embarrassing part here is NASCAR is sticking beside their policy about not having Confederate flags. I mean, the president himself said that they're not going to bring that policy back and that they want to expand their base. So this man is just, he has a losing argument here, and he's probably going to lose his election too.
So it's that's just quite interesting there, Randy. Let's make my number one priority in one of the brokest states in the country with poor education, poor health care. It's the Confederate racist flag.
He looks so much like Elmer Fudd to me. It was hard for me to even listen to what he was saying. He's like a cartoon character in the first place. But listen, if that is what his biggest concern is, who would want to elect someone whose biggest concern is about flying a flag that represents a loss? It's insane to me. But the thing is, we know that there will be some people who will vote for him. He's not going to win, but there will be some people who will vote for him. I mean, that's a doofy looking guy. I'm sorry. I can't even take him seriously. He's a clown.
Yep, there you go. I mean, that's how the racists act. All right, we appreciate the panel. Nicole, thanks a bunch. Mustafa, thanks a bunch. Randy, thanks a bunch. Folks, I'm here in Atlanta tomorrow. First of all, HBCU Aware Fest is taking place this week. I'll be moderating a panel tomorrow, Ebenezer Baptist Church from 1 to 3 p.m. Regarding the HBCU Summit, so look forward to that. If you want to get tickets, go to hbcuawarefest.com, hbcuawarefest.com, and so look forward to that. All right, folks, that's it. It's time to go. Hey, don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it really possible. So support this show, the other 5 shows on the Black Star Network, the shows we're looking to launch as well. So we appreciate all things that you can do. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. That's also for credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 790-196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Our hats, t-shirts, hoodies, wall art, everything is there on the site, including our most popular shirt, Don't Blame Me, I Voted for the Black Woman. Also, of course, if you want to, and in fact, let me go ahead and give a shout out. My homegirl, Alina Blanchard, who worked with me at TV One. She went to took her son to the doctor today, and Miss Lori Green, who works at the hospital, huge fan of the show. She said, Alina says she watches the show. She has the shirt. She donates. She's a huge fan. Watches every day. So Lori Green, I appreciate you watching the show as well, folks. So get the Actually Curious card game and other products that we have of our Black-owned businesses by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. So go there right now. Again, get the products, go to our marketplace. You can get birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, all that good stuff. We surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Don't forget to watch The Breakdown with Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network as well. The Breakdown with Brittany Noble, noon Eastern, every day on Roland Martin on the Black Star Network. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!